obsession with stock price movements. It is not an obsession with creating personal wealth. The capital market to us is evidence and a proxy for success. It tells you whether you're succeeding, and more important, whether your success is shared and perceived by everybody.
It's great music to this audience that, a lot of people who see nothing but irrationality in us, there is a great corroboration here. Talking about, again, if you scan the horizon and if you look at the big industrial houses, it's hard to find that diversification has been hugely successful. You see businesses that have grown and they have top lines, etc., and maybe occasionally they are able to exit at a valuation because they have done the hard work. But if you look at core profits coming, and I don't want to mention those names, still you find these are the old businesses that are generating cash year after year, decade after decade. And therefore, I think there are several factors that go into identifying new businesses and adding to that original growth question that we talked about, that your longevity and success will not come without diversification, entering new businesses in whatever manner, whether through JV and acquisitions. And maybe it's time for us to talk about that if you are doing it particularly through acquisitions and through joint ventures, you are adding to the risk. And therefore, let me talk about Anand Mahindra, the risk taker. How much of it? Too ambitious? Measured? How do you do it?
Let me begin with the first question about where you said, I think that, how does one, or let me take the risk question first of all. The idea is not simply to grow by acquisition or by organic means. The question is, what is the strategy for success? You have to have a vision that inspires people. You have to align yourself to that, and then you have to align your strategy to that. Some of those strategies require inorganic growth. You cannot program them because by definition inorganic growth is opportunistic. You can't always program into a particular milestone or a particular point in time that you will make this acquisition. They sometimes happen, they sometimes don't. But our strategies in each of our businesses do indicate whether for a certain horizon, whether your growth is expected to emerge largely by organic means or by inorganic means. For the tractor business, we recognized we were already the largest in India. We then recognized that we were just a step away from dominance, from market leadership to dominance. And that's when the Punjab tractor issue came in. And we analyzed in great detail what the benefits of dominance were and what they could get you. How do you then define a market and get to a higher profit pool in your position in the market through that role of dominance? And we realized if we had gone simply by the spreadsheet, there was a sort of you take the middle road scenario, one could have argued that we were overpaying for Punjab tractors. When we look back, it has been the most profitable acquisition we ever made, because we recognize the benefits of market dominance. So there the organic route was stipulated. We knew we had to look for that. You will look, when you're a global leader and your strategy is based on Michael Porter's theories, you said either you focus or you go on scale. When you're a leader in India, and India is the largest tractor market in the world, I think you're betraying your destiny if you don't go for global leadership. And we just set that as a role. Now, when you want to go for global leadership, you can't always, in an industry which has very sticky customers. It's extremely difficult in the tractor business to acquire customers. The farmer's nature is such that he or she will stick to a certain product unless there's some grave breaking of the promise by the particular supplier. And that's why the Chinese acquisitions, that's why Punjab tractors, and today we are in fact the largest tractor maker in the world by volume, in volume terms, if not in revenue terms. And that is bringing enormous benefits to us in a variety of ways. On the auto side, however, The strategy was one of focus, because we decided to focus on the utility vehicle business. Now, when your strategy alone is not based on scale, size, then you are less concerned about going out and building volume through inorganic means. Then your point is, when you make an acquisition, you make it for technology, for distribution channels, or for a very similar kind of specialty player. And that's what SsangYong is. It was a specialty player. That's why we looked at Land Rover, because it was a specialty player. Now, the reason we backed out of Land Rover was a different reason, but SsangYong fitted in with us for a variety of reasons. So I want to come back to this, that we do not take risk simply because growth is an imperative. You have to take risk according to your strategy. Similarly, let's take the most talked about one, Satyam. Tech Mahindra, I remember when I took over as chairman, we expanded the board, and we had a meeting in Paris with a newly expanded board. Sumantra Ghoshal was in it too, Raj Reddy. And we said, is it time to grow beyond the telecoms vertical? And I remember distinctly Raj Reddy saying, look, even though the industry is in a little bit of a dip at that time, in 97, everybody is going to want to talk to each other. This is going to be a double-digit growth industry, and if you focus and become the biggest fish in a small pond, you'll do better. So we kept our eye on the ball and just were focused on being the largest telecom player. Now, when you get to $900 million in revenue, and you are dominant in that vertical, then the board said, now what? And at that point, the strategy then became that we now need to expand our verticals and our offerings. At that point, inorganic growth became imperative at that point. So it was not growth or inorganic growth and risk-taking for the sake of it. It was, where do we look around for the opportunity? And of course, Satyam, I've talked ad nauseum about. To me, it was something which was a very calibrated risk. One of the heads of a conglomerate was here recently with President Obama, and we were chatting. And he's a major client of Satyam. And he was saying it was a great move because I understand it. One of the best moves we've ever made is to go in and to look at what seemed to be a very high risk opportunity. And he said, the question you ask is, so what's the worst that can happen? What is the very worst that can happen in this opportunity? And then you look at that worst case situation, you calibrate it, you analyze it, you factor in that into your spreadsheet, and then you come out with a bid which you think takes that into account. But if you establish that the business is sound, the business model, that it has real assets, it has a real value proposition, then you simply factor in what's the worst that could go wrong, and sometimes these are the best opportunities to go by. So much as I would love to sound like the swashbuckling buccaneer who went out and took a risk, this was a very calibrated left-brain decision, and happily it's paying off so far.